Bridget Masinga on SAfm.
It is the full circle, and of course on Wednesdays we wrap up the show with matters of self-improvement and self-development. We've got Ntsiki Mkhize joining us this week, founder of MentHER, and you can find her, by the way, on social media. How are you doing?
I'm doing wonderful, thanks, Bridget. How are you?
I'm not on.
You
there
are
I
on now.
can hear me now. Hello and good afternoon to all of our listeners. I'm doing well, thanks. How are you?
I'm great. Cannot complain. What is on the agenda this afternoon?
So today we're talking about growth,
Okay.
and everything's around personal development. But I think when we start getting to this time of year, people are reflecting on how am I growing? Have I
Yes.
met my goals? Maybe someone's panicking to go, I have not accomplished a single thing. So we're going to be chatting about growth and really how do you biohack growth, because
Okay.
there's a way to go about
There is?
doing that. Yes, there is.
Okay.
And there's lots of wonderful research that's come out now around biohacking. But also one of the reasons we're talking about it is because we are hosting our MentHER Social Impact Summit on the 17th of November.
Oh, nice.
And our theme is the growth experience. So we're looking at whether you are an individual or if you're running your own business, what are the ways in which you grow that help you be resilient as the person leading your business or your team, and then also within your organization, how do you grow in different aspects around your business. So that's what we're unpacking this afternoon.
All right. Well, I mean, you've got about 9 minutes to unpack it. So where do we start?
So let's start with biohacking, right? So I think oftentimes people have habits and they have a pattern around how they do things. And we often get stuck thinking, this is how I've always been, so it can't be different. Or we really want to change, but we just don't have the tools to help us to change.
Yeah.
So there is a way to biohack, right? So before I give you tools on that, personally for you, Bridget, how do you know if you've grown in a particular area?
Oh my goodness, I don't know.
Or how do you track your own growth?
I mean, I guess like everyone else, right? You set objectives out for the year. Well, long-term, mid-term, doesn't have to be yearly things, long-term, mid-term type things. And then also for me, it's always the challenge of doing the thing that scares me. You know what I mean? So if we take my radio career, for instance, it's 16 years spent at contemporary music stations,
Yeah.
right? And then you start thinking, okay, well, I want to expand, my thinking. I want to expand my knowledge, my learning, my engagement. And how do I do that? I want to position myself to get into a space that's very different and very challenging,
Yeah.
i.e. talk radio.
And you're killing it. You're
And then
doing a
you
good
start
job.
moving in
Yeah.
that direction. And that's, for me, those are always the gauge, is doing the thing that scares you and the thing that stretches and expands your thinking.
Thank you for saying that, right? Because so much growth happens outside of our comfort zone.
Yeah.
And what I want people to think about and reflect for themselves is macro growth, so how our careers look, how much money we're making, the targets that our business is reaching. Those are easier to monitor because you can see them, they're loud. What we often miss is that on the journey to accomplishing those things, we ourselves as people grow in that as well. So for you to shift from music radio to talk radio, there's something in you that needs to expand so that you can facilitate conversations and be comfortable in this new level that you are in. So getting people to shift from don't just think about the big stuff, but think about the small stuff. So what are the things that you're incrementally doing that are giving you the capacity in order to be able to hold and to do the big stuff? So if we talk about biohacking, it's literally a way to DIY human enhancement or transformation, right? And this is when you attempt to change aspects of your biology to improve your health, performance, or well-being. And you can literally biohack anything. And for those of you that love a TED Talk, you can definitely find a TED Talk on this, either from Mind Valley, has a lot of good stuff. I think we have someone quoting us.
No.
What is it?
No. Before we get into the TED Talk, Ntsiki, can I do this so that I don't interrupt you? Let's take the quick break and then we come back.
Cool.
And then you can just go.
Yes, we'll go
Yes.
tips and tools on how to biohack.
Absolutely.
Arts, culture, and robust conversations with Bridget Masinga.
All right. We are wrapping it up with Ntsiki Mkhize, founder of MentHER, and we are here talking biohacking and growing your career.
Yes.
Yes. So
So not a phone call, but sports is calling us because we are in peak season at
We
the
are.
moment, back-to-back wins. So we're talking biohacking, right? And so literally biohacking is a way that you can DIY your own personal improvement and growth as an individual, and looking at how that then shows up and supports you in accomplishing different goals. And I was about to say that you can biohack anything. So from meditation to how much water you drink, to your health, your exercise, to the amount of energy that you have, to the way that you sleep, and your general nutrition. So really what you want to think about is where are are some of those very tangible areas where you feel limited. So if your goal at the beginning of the year was to exercise more and to go to the gym and you just haven't done that, what you want to think about is, what is it that's preventing me from actually making this a new habit in my life, right? And if you think about how you then go about biohacking that, it's not to say I'm going to start going to gym and I'm going to be full throttle at it, because that's what we often do. We go, yes, I'm starting tomorrow and I'm going to do 1 hour every day. And it's really those very audacious kind of goals that swipe us out if we don't have a way to facilitate that in our day-to-day process. But when you start biohacking, you start getting your body into the routine of doing things. So if we stick on the example of exercise, I think I mentioned this example when we spoke about building a new trend about the guy who went to the gym just to have coffee to get that to be part of his routine. But if you're at home and you just go, okay, I'm going to start every day just by doing squats. I'm going to biohack that into my system so that I get used to doing a physical activity every single day. And once you've consistently done the squats every day for a week, you can then bump that up and go, okay, every hour on the hour, I'm going to do 10 squats. And then you bump that up to the next level. And as you incrementally get used to doing whatever the new intervention is, you can then make that part of your routine. The same with sleep. You won't just get a good night's sleep overnight, but if you start going to bed initially 10 minutes earlier and then 30 minutes earlier, then a full hour earlier, you're then able to then move back the clock in terms of how much sleep you get and the quality of sleep that you get. And even if you're not falling asleep immediately, you can biohack by doing things like, okay, I'm going to go to bed an hour earlier, but that just means I'm going to be offline, I'm not watching TV, and I'm going to read a book instead, or I'm going to meditate, I'm going to do some bedtime yoga, whatever it is, but I'm going to start making incremental shifts in the way that I do things so that I'm able to create new routines. So that's as pertaining to you as a person and how you're able to grow. If we then think about what that looks like in our careers or in our businesses, you then want to think about, what is the goal that I'm trying to achieve and how do I incrementally make a difference in that? So you're not going to get 10,000 sales overnight. So if you're only calling 100 customers a day today, just add 10 more people. Just call 10 extra people, and then incrementally you're now biohacking your system and your routine in doing things. Same thing with your career. If you know that, okay, within your network, you actually only know 10 people that could give you an introduction that could help you get onto that project or to make that new deal happen, add 2 extra people, especially if you're one of those people that gets really anxious when you're thinking about connecting with new people. Just make it a goal to go, okay, this week I'm going to connect with 10 people on LinkedIn, and that's it. And then you incrementally keep increasing that number. And you can decide on your number and what makes you feel comfortable. So whether it's 1 person a week or 10 people a week, but you incrementally do that. And as you move in those increments, you then start seeing the changes within your personal self and within your career or your business.
And I think also, just as we wrap it up, when you talk about sort of those incremental changes, it also doesn't create the pressure of expectation, right?
No.
Because it's so small, such a small change with such a significant impact, that firstly, it's attainable. And if you happen to falter, you give yourself room to sort of pick up tomorrow and try again.
Absolutely. So it does help you to de-risk the process, right? And because the changes are incremental.
That term, de-risk.
Yes, you de-risk the process and you make it easier for yourself to do. So it's a lot easier to recover 10 squats tomorrow versus an hour of gym tomorrow. It's a lot easier to recover 10 squats in the next hour or after the show if I've missed them the whole day versus going, I need to find 30 minutes or an hour today to fit in going to the gym. So those incremental changes make you able to, one, also better monitor yourself. So you're able to also see, how am I responding to these small changes? What's making me feel uncomfortable? What am I actually afraid of? So if we take the example of connecting with people on LinkedIn, or maybe even speaking to someone in your office, that might be one connection that leads to a courageous conversation that then leads to an appointment or being on a project or whatever it is. In the process of doing that small interaction, you can realize that, I'm actually afraid to connect with people because I'm worried about somebody saying no. So then you can start biohacking your fears around no, right? And you can go, maybe I just need to hear the no so that I get it out my system and then I'm just over it. Or maybe I can go speak to somebody else who understands this person's languaging so I can better position my offerings so that I'm in a better position to receive a yes. Or I can go, instead of asking Bridget a direct question, let me set up a meeting with Bridget to explore how this kind of partnership that I'm looking to do might look like, and then put together a plan that she can then approve, right? So the small steps that you do start unpacking other things that then point you in the direction of what can you actually do that's meaningful and aligned to your growth.
Listen, every time she comes in here, all I hear from her all the time is take the grand plan and break it up into small bite-sized chunks, to that old African adage.
Absolutely.
It takes small bites to wrap yourself around an elephant, or to finish an elephant is what it actually says. But on that note, Ntsiki, I appreciate the time with you. Always
Thank
a
you so
pleasure having
much.
you in studio. That is it from us. Aldrin St. Pierre is standing by. Beyond the Headline coming through at 3 until 6 o'clock. The conversation continues on social media at SAfm Radios, where you can find us on X and at Bridget Masinga. And Ntsiki is also on social media. She's very active on Instagram at Ntsiki Mkhize if you want to find her. Inshallah, God willing, we get to do it again. And Musa wrapping up the bulletin.
Bridget Masinga on SAfm.